Hi, I'm Sean.
I'm Rhonda.
And we want to talk with you today about watching your attitude as you're working on your marriage.
You know, we would refer you to a book by Dr. Greg Smalley, Fight Your Way to a Better Marriage. It's got some great stuff in it. There's some points that we found in it that we wanted to kind of springboard off of to talk to you about your communication and your attitude.
All right. Sometimes I think when you use the word fight, people can have something like a knockdown, drag out brawl. So we're not
talking about that.
We're not looking at the word fight in that connotation.
Right.
So we're looking at really just putting out the effort and working on your relationship.
I think of it more like a game, like a tennis match or something like that. We're not at odds against each other, but we do have something to bounce back and forth, and there are rules to the game.
Right. So there are 5 things that we need to do as we communicate. Number 1, we need to listen with focus and attention.
You know, I can look like I'm paying attention, but I might not be paying attention.
Yeah, your mind could be wandering and on other things that you're going to do later on today.
That is so not fair. So as a listener, my spouse needs to feel like I'm listening with curiosity, asking questions. Before I state my perspective on this topic, I need to make sure I totally hear my spouse's.
Yeah, you want to kind of explore some of the things that they're saying and find out more detail. Tell me more about that. I'm really interested in hearing, what are your thoughts about this?
This is what I hear you saying. Am I getting it right? Was there
Right.
more to it you needed to share than that? Before I jump to, well, this is what I think about it. If I do that too quickly, I can communicate to my spouse, I only care about me and my thoughts and feelings. I can't see anything beyond inside here, and I don't really care.
Right.
But when we listen with curiosity, we communicate what you think and feel matters to me as much as what I think and feel.
We need to validate our spouse by recognizing, valuing, and accepting their heart without debating, minimizing, judging, or fixing.
There may be feelings behind the words. We need to connect with those. What is my spouse feeling? Sometimes we can use an adjective or two, more than that can escalate things, to say, when this is happening, I feel like a nobody, I feel invisible, or if you were to do this for me, I would feel noticed, I would feel like I'm a partner in this marriage.
Sometimes some of us, especially men, can have a fix-it mentality, and we want to take that problem our wife presents, we want to fix it, and we want to make it go away, and we don't really connect with them to really hear what they're feeling. And sometimes the best way to make it go away is to hear them out and let them share their heart.
And we're not presenting our thoughts and feelings for them to be judged by our spouse. Well, I don't think you should think like that.
Right.
I don't think that that's a good way to look at it. Well, if we really believe we're one, we would consider what's going on in our spouse's mind and heart as much as we'd consider it if it originated from us, right?
Right. And sometimes, minimizing, well, I don't deal with that, therefore you shouldn't either. Sometimes either one of us can be going through something, dealing with a challenge in a certain area, and the other one is not, and we're there to pick the other one up when that one is struggling.
Otherwise, we come across like we're saying, you don't have a right to be your own human. You should act and feel and think like me, and then you would be a better person.
Right.
Instead, we need to be able to validate who our spouse is and what goes on with them. That's real for them. That's where they are. Jesus accepts us where we are.
Right.
He doesn't say, well, you're not as good as this believer, so therefore, what you're thinking and feeling is a nothing. Instead, he interacts with us where we are. He came to walk with us as man so that he would be a merciful and high priest, being touched with the feelings of our infirmities, and we should do that for each other.
That's totally how he was able to deliver us, was by becoming a man, becoming like us so that he could save us. Next area we want to look at is empathizing with what your spouse is feeling and being touched with what they feel. Feeling that, being able to feel the impact maybe that what a hurtful behavior or words that happened, the impact that had on them. If you're hurt with what hurts your spouse, you're not as likely to do it again.
We have to be able to enter into our spouse's world and feel what they feel, walk in their shoes. to be able to understand what it feels like to be married to me.
Yeah.
And so, we need to see what those feelings are. We can't say, well, I wouldn't feel that way if you treated me like that. Well, guess what? You're not your spouse. You didn't marry yourself.
Right.
You married a different person. They have thoughts and feelings too, and those matter and should matter as much as yours.
Yeah, it's kind of like we have that saying, about walking a mile in someone's moccasins.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole idea, is that you're walking in and experiencing what they're experiencing, so that you aren't going to be as likely to judge them or condemn them when you are experiencing that yourself.
And we have to be able to apologize, and we have to be able to forgive. And so, the thing is, I think a lot of people struggle with apologies because I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Well, no, you probably didn't. But if I accidentally step on your toes in the church lobby, I'm going to say I'm sorry.
Right.
I unintentionally caused discomfort for you, and I didn't ever want to do that.
Right.
And so I'm not saying I was a sinner. I thought this through, and I saw you coming. I went up, and I stepped on your toes, and I meant to.
Right.
That's not what we're saying is happening. We're usually well-intentioned people,
Right.
and these things happen unintentionally, but we still have to say, I'm sorry.
Well, in such a close relationship as a marriage, it's likely that we are going to step on each other's toes from time to time.
Yeah.
And just accepting that and realizing, hey, I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry for the pain that caused you when that happened.
And we have to be able to forgive. Our spouse probably did it unintentionally. Can we
Right.
move on?
Right.
Can we not hold that over their head forever or for
Yeah.
long periods of time? Now, sometimes it can seem like somebody isn't forgiving if they're never heard by their spouse. It kind of makes a way where even in our brains, it doesn't disappear. Our brain looks at it as unfinished business.
Right.
You have a task you started, but you didn't finish it. Let me keep reminding you of that.
Well, sometimes it's not a matter that they didn't forgive the other spouse. It's just that they're still struggling with it, and that
'Cause you
really,
keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, in the Bible, it's a concept: bear one another's burdens. So helping to carry that weight that your spouse is feeling can make it lighter for them. So the summary of all this that we're talking about in this section is about just watching your attitude and being aware of how you're perceiving and dealing with your spouse.